And it's so funny. Don't ever like wish for things. All right. Because manifestation's real. Because when I was little, I was so jealous that my brother could pee standing up. Look who can pee standing up. Right out of this bag. I'm like, man, I should never wish for that. Like,
welcome back. Today we're going to move in a little bit different direction away from real estate. We've got a phenomenal story, very inspiring. I've got Stephanie LeMarr here with me, and thank you very much for coming down.
thank you for having me.
Absolutely. How you doing?
Wonderful. Excited to do this. Finally get it on the books.
We've been trying for a little while. I'm glad we're able to make it work.
The fourth attempt, I think. So,
So will you tell us a little bit about your story?
Sure. All right, my story is about colorectal cancer, my diagnosis, and kind of, it's a long one. It's 8 years worth. 8 years. But I will put it down for you guys.
Okay.
I'm going to try to not bore everybody. Or this could be actually a sleep app. I could just tell you a long story. So it was about 8 years ago. I was actually in the middle of going through a divorce, a lot of stress, a lot of things happening in my life.
Sure.
I had 2 little babies, and I had noticed that when I was going to the bathroom, I was having blood in the toilet.
Not right.
Nasty. I know. Now everybody talks about poo and blood, but it was happening. Things were happening. And of course, get it looked at. This is weird. Happens more than once. Get it looked at. So I didn't think much of it. Go to the doctor. She didn't think much of it. So I get into the doctor and she's like, it's probably Crohn's or colitis or just something going on, irritation of the bowels. Mm-hmm. No big deal. I was very fortunate. She decided to get me a colonoscopy, which they don't always do for people in their 30s.
That's what I was going to say. Usually that's something a little bit later.
Mm-hmm. They're usually like, they kind of try every other thing first, let's try this medicine. Let's see if this helps it. It was just a little bit of blood. And it wasn't a crazy amount. This wasn't like a toilet full. So it wasn't as if I was like hemorrhaging and freaked out. It was like it happened multiple times and I was a little bit nervous. So she ordered the colonoscopy. I go get it done and they find a tumor at the base of my rectum. And if you don't know, there's a colon and then a rectum. Okay. And then a sphincter. So I can draw you a whole anatomy class here today. Okay. So there's the colon.
Do we have the whiteboard somewhere?
I know. We can.
I think I want to see this.
Colon and then the rectum and then the sphincter. So actually we can use this guy's butt.
Oh, geez.
This is about, I'm just kidding. So it wasn't a colon cancer, which would be traditionally up higher in your colon. Okay. It was considered colorectal. Excuse me. When they were in there, they attempted to remove it because a lot of times with polyps, you can just put some water and get some movement and a polyp will lift up and you can remove the polyp. This one had dug down. It had its fingers in the rectum. It was a fairly large polyp. You don't have a lot of rectums or rectal space. So it was taking up a good amount and it was really low to the base of of the sphincter, right? Of like your butthole. So they find this, definitely threw me. I remember that day just being like, I went in thinking I was going to be put on some medication for, IBS or something going on.
Something easy.
Something crazy. I had no clue. I go in and she tells me and the lady even apologized. She's like, I had no idea this would be that. Like, you're too young. This is crazy.
So you found out that day?
I found out actually, it was that day. It was that day because he went in and he pulled me into his office after I came out of my thing. And he's like, hey, we tried to remove a tumor and we were unsuccessful. So we need to get you in ASAP. So this just kind of started my brain, like I said, I'm not only in the middle of going through a divorce, which is just highly stressful and emotional.
It's just definitely doesn't help.
Being told you have cancer, and they, obviously they had to send it out. They were pretty sure it was cancer. You have to always do a pathology. But being told any of that, it just shuts you down. Your whole life flashes before your eyes, no matter what it is. I mean, I don't care in what capacity you're told you have cancer, whether it's something that's quote unquote easily curable or terminal. It just, your whole heart, your chest, your body shuts down. So I took the news. Okay, you're going to do that. I I remember my dad like researching, top doctors in Virginia to take care of this. Went to UVA, ended up doing chemo, went to UVA. So I did chemo, radiation. So determines cancer, blah, blah, blah. I did chemo, I did radiation. They shrunk the tumor down a little bit. Went and got the surgery. They felt they got all the margins and everything. The margins are the outside perimeter of the tumor that look clean cells. They put on an ileostomy, which if people aren't familiar with what an ileostomy is in your small intestines. So if your poop comes out solid, if you have an ileostomy, it would be all liquid. It's before your poo gets formed into a solid form. This is poo education for everybody. Okay.
101.
101. So I had an ileostomy for a while I was healing, and had more chemo when we were done that, and very hopeful. Like, it was stage 2. We thought we called it early-ish, like thinking it's fine. I had a super positive attitude. We took care of it. I thought we got everything done. And then fast forward, and then like the real craziness hit. It was just a few years later, 2020 hit. And let's back up. Actually, when we discussed what caused it, I did every genetic testing, went through all of my family history. Nothing. There's nothing.
Nothing.
So the assumption is that when I gave birth, I had a 4th-degree tear to my rectum, which caused damage in that area, which can encourage the growth of abnormal cells. So that can be like, if you have cancer, we all have cancer in our bodies, right? It's just like, weak spot. I was under so much stress over those couple years and going through the divorce that their assumption is the stress is what activated those cancer cells to then go to the weakest spot and grow. And that's what they think. I mean, obviously we don't have an exact answer because I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think
there's no perfect science, but because there's no other explanation, no mutation in my genes or anything that we can find. So anyways, I spent a couple years, and I do have to say it was a very big challenge. I did, before we go to 2020, I had the ileostomy reversed. That was a trip. Trying to use your butt again after a very serious surgery. I'm just going to spare everyone all the details, but let's just say there were a lot of days I just called out of work. A lot of days I just took showers.
I bet.
A lot of days were very, very bad days. That in itself was very, very stressful. Like living that life of fear, of just feeling like you're not normal, your bowels are never working properly, and then the fear of the cancer coming back, right? So 2020 hits. I all of a sudden notice that the right side of my pelvis is a little numb. I'm like, kind of weird, like these numb spots in my pelvis. And then all of a sudden, like I started having really bad pain that I've never experienced before, where if I wasn't up walking, I wasn't comfortable. So
Really?
I would walk in my development at like 2 a.m. the streets because I couldn't lay down. It was so bad.
Wow.
We're thinking it's sciatic. We're thinking it's radiation damage, because sometimes you have fallout from radiation in the pelvis.
Okay.
So I went through so many doctors. I can't even tell you. I spent bukus of money seeing doctors who didn't take insurance down in Reston to try to see the top people, because we're like, stick a needle someplace, like fix this, do something. They couldn't find what was going on. Months and months and months went by, and they finally did. After all the numbing kept growing. Numbing kept getting worse. Everything kept getting worse. They finally did a pudendal nerve scan and found a tumor on my sacrum. So if you know your sacrum, you know what that is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so your sacrum's there. Then you have your coccyx down here, little tailbone thingy.
Yep.
Tumor was kind of stuck on the base of this. I was told by people in Winchester that no one would ever do surgery. No one would ever touch me. You will never find a surgeon in America to ever take care of this. So let's just make you comfortable.
Why?
It's just you're talking about the nerves that control your lower functioning, your bowels, your bladder. It controls everything. To go through to get those, you have to be cut open front and back. You have to chisel out bone. Not only that, but you have to reconstruct. You don't realize what that little chunk of bone does for keeping you sitting, having you stand, keeping your body stable. Like, I had no idea what it did.
Yeah.
This little itty bitty section of this stuff. And so I was told by the doctor, like, I'm sorry, I hate to break the news to you, but like, we'll make you comfortable. We'll do what we have to do. But no one's going to do anything. So like, just let us know how we can support you. And
how do you handle that?
I didn't. And my dad didn't. My dad was like, I bet. Like,
I will find somebody.
That is not an answer. And being in your 30s with kids,
Yeah.
I was like, I've never felt ready to die. Like, it's not something through this whole journey I've ever felt ready to do. There's been moments where I've accepted it, but I've never been like, okay, that's a great answer. Like, you can't tell me some of the things that they've been able to do with science and with medicine that you can't tell me they can't do something with this. Someone out there is doing this. So we find someone at Johns Hopkins.
Really? Okay.
That had done this surgery like a handful of times and had success. So we gear up. I do a couple rounds of radiation to try to help kind of, clean up those margins, to try to help to make sure there's no cancer out here. I did the chemo, which I told you did have an effect on my hair. Some of my hair did fall out during that chemo.
That's what I was going to ask about your hair.
Yeah. So the first round, and I can mention that here in a second after this. But so I did the radiation. It did make me pretty sick that round. I did some chemo. Chemo made me pretty sick that round. Went in and had a lower anterior resection of my sacrum.
And that was at Johns Hopkins.
And that was at Johns Hopkins.
So where is this on the timeline as into where we are today?
2021.
Okay.
So
about 3 years ago. 2020,
I kind of battled this whole pain thing and didn't know what was going on. 2021 was finally like, okay, let's get it done. And, it's a big thing. But let me touch base real quick on the hair things. I know that's a big topic that a lot of people have asked me about hair.
Because your hair looks great.
Thank you. It's Revlon. No, it's hair falling out is not synonymous with cancer.
Okay.
That's a misconception. That does not happen to everybody. I think we all have an image. When you say cancer patient, we all think in our head, you have an image of what you think a cancer patient looks like.
Yeah.
I was fortunate. I do have to say that I never looked like what people assume a cancer patient looks like. I was always very healthy looking. I maintained my weight back then very well. My hair did not fall out, but different chemos, different medications actually target different spots in the body and different cells. They control all kinds of things. I mean, these cancer drugs are so targeted in some ways that it's amazing how they can literally go right to a certain point. So you do see a lot of times in breast cancer medications that their hair will fall out everywhere. I mean, it's like the hair on the body, something has to do with the hair follicles. And that part I'm not savvy with. But my specific cancer, hair loss was not the top side effect. Potential, yeah, maybe. But my top side effects were neuropathy. I couldn't breathe in cold air. My sinuses would burn anytime I would cry, sneeze, cough, eat. Couldn't eat hot or cold items, mouth sores, GI issues. So trust me, they all come with a nice big bucket of side effects. Mm-hmm. But I think people are always very much like, oh, you kept your hair. You're so lucky. It's like, yes,
you would have given up the hair for some of the other side effects.
If I could have traded hair for other side, yes, 100%. And none of it is good. I mean, if I talk to another cancer patient with a different flavor of cancer, we could swap stories and be like, oh, I would have taken that over that, that. None of it's good. I mean, would I have loved not having my hair? And especially because that is painful too. No, but I'm just saying it's kind of hard. It was hard sometimes because I feel like a lot of people did look at me and think, are you sure you're not,
Yeah.
And I had some nasty comments from people before, like, you seem healthy, you're fine. And it's like, I don't know what your definition of fine is because I feel like I'm dying every single day. So, but because I had hair or because I didn't lose a lot of weight in the beginning, people were very like, okay, cool.
They don't know what you're going through though.
They don't. And it's not my job to go out and tell the world constantly and be like, hey, feel bad for me. This sucks. Like, so what? Like, this is my lot in life. This is what I'm dealing with. So it is what it is. But anyway, so back to 2021. tailbone removal. So I ended up getting a brand new Barbie butt. This is fun, I know. Probably have never heard of it. It's where you don't have a butthole.
Nope.
Super weird. Didn't know that was going to happen. But they did remove the sacrum. They cut me from belly button down to my pelvis, flipped me over, and then they essentially filleted my butt cheeks open and removed that chunk, that tumor, that sacrum. And then the plastic surgeon had to take muscle and just whatever was in there and essentially corset it in and secure my sacrum. So I have, instead of bone to support there, I just have like a nub and whatever meat was in there, I guess, hanging around. Like, I don't really know what all they used. Some towels laying around. I don't know. Like just
whatever works, I guess.
But like, can you give me a BBL while you're in there? Because they didn't. They took it all out. They didn't put anything in. Fun. But so that was put back together. And I think that was the hardest. The hardest thing about that was the recovery was really, really hard. I couldn't couldn't sit on my butt for weeks.
That's what I was going to say. What was the recovery like?
I had a hospital bed in the house. I laid there for 6 weeks. And then I have some weird condition where like I get a lot of fluid around any type of incisions. So my butt, like as it was healing, was just filled with fluid, serious fluid. Not infection or anything, but it had to be packed every day with the gauze, and it was a mess.
I bet.
So this took a few months, but I was determined. Like, it's fine. We got this. Like, a doctor did this. You know, he's like, some of your nerves are going to come back. Things are going to come back. And I was so hopeful. None of that feeling ever came back. I have no feeling pretty much from my belly button down my entire right leg. So I fast forward, and I was so excited. Cancer was gone. Checkup was good. My recovery, you know, I got through it. And then...
So at this point, we're around 2022.
We are. What
About
year
2
is
years
this?
ago. We're in 24.
So this might still be in 2021, maybe the same year, but at a different,
The end of it?
The end of it.
Okay.
I should have written the timeline down better. Sorry. But I go for a checkup. I get done this incredible vacation, right? I took a vacation, getting ready to start back to work. So pumped. Going to do it. Take a vacation to be like, wow, I just got through like mega like surgery, right? And I go in and he's like, there's a tumor on your ureter. And do you know what a ureter is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So not everybody knows, but a ureter is the tube that connects your kidneys to your bladder, right? I would never really have known anything about it if they didn't tell me. So the tumor was touching that ureter and causing a backup of urine into my kidney. So it's like, okay, so now we have cancer again. It didn't we missed it. It popped back up. At this point, I had to get a nephrostomy tube placed. And a nephrostomy tube is just a tube that goes in your kidney and diverts the urine that is made out into a bag that hooks to my hip.
Okay.
And it's so funny. Don't ever like wish for things. All right. Because manifestation's real. Because when I was little, I was so jealous that my brother could pee standing up. Look who can pee standing up. Right out of this bag. I'm like, man, I should never wish for that. Like, I was like, why don't I have a wiener? Like, that's not fair. It's really easy. Now your girl can pee off a boat with no problem.
Well, there you go.
I mean, it's a win kind of in that sense, but
take all the little ones we can get.
I'll take all the little wins. So so that happened. I started back on chemo. I did maintenance chemo for about a year, find out that it was no longer working. The cancer was growing through that. This has been about a year ago now. I traveled to MD Anderson, top oncologist in the world, to be like, is there anything we can do? At this point, I did find out that the cancer was growing on it had grown across. Your pelvis is very small. The cancer had grown to the other ureter. So now I have a double nephrostomy, which really sucked because unlike the first one, I wanted to deny that it was growing. And I put myself in the hospital for over a week because I went into like, not kidney failure fully, but kidney was shutting down because I kept pretending like it was fine. Which if you've ever had a kidney issue, it feels like a knife in your back. And I'd always be like, it's a muscle. I don't want to deal with it. I've
gotten lucky so far, but I've heard.
Yeah. They're bad, like kidney stones and stuff like that. So yeah, I ended up with a double nephrostomy. And I went to MD Anderson, and they pretty much said there's nothing they could do there for me. That if I was going to do a trial, it was best to do it at home with my family. No sense in traveling back and forth. Their trial is no different than doing a trial here. Found a trial at UVA. The trial, unfortunately, did not work. It did cause me to be very sick. Lots of hospitalizations over this past year, which has been why I lost 30 pounds this past year. I think for the first time in 8 years of having cancer, it's the first time I feel like I look like I have cancer. Like, I don't think I've never looked in the mirror and been like, you have cancer. I don't know myself. Like, that's the hardest part, is seeing
What you believe is somebody different.
every time. It doesn't get any better. Like today, looking in the mirror, I'm like I just see the bones, and I see, because when you're in the hospital and and you're bedridden and you can't move because of infection, your body starts to atrophy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just eating up that muscle. I don't have a lot of muscle to begin with, but it ate it. It ate up that fat reserve, and you come out, and I had to use a walker like the first day coming out multiple times that I was hospitalized because your bones and your body, there's no stability. So that kind of leads me here to now. And it's weird because I feel super hopeful right now.
Good.
Which you wouldn't think I would after like this past year's been so like knocked down. Every turn I've taken has been like, okay, an infection, a diagnosis of this, of that. So currently I am struggling. I do have metastasis to my lungs. So I wheeze. I don't know if they can hear it here. But I have difficulty breathing. I'm wheezing. It's hard for me, which is hard because I'm a hiker. I'm an outdoors person, and it's kicking my butt. And then the neuropathy. I can't feel, like I said, most of my right leg. But I'm on a brand new chemo that was just approved in November. And I don't know. I'm just, every time I take the pill, I talk to it, and I'm like, you little devil, you're going to kill the cancer. And I give her a whole pep talk. And I swear, it's like, you're going to go in here and you're going to get cancer because I'm sick of this shit. Not doing it anymore. I don't know. I feel oddly hopeful and good about it. Like, I'd like to gain some weight and muscle up, but I feel good about this drug for some reason. So that's it. I mean, that might have been super long. I apologize, but it was 8 years of.
Honestly, there's still some other things that I'm curious about. I mean,
please get the holes and let's.
I mean, one thing that I don't think a lot of people always think about though is how this affects your family. Yeah. I mean, how old are your kids?
They are about to be 12, my son, and my daughter is 10.
So it's all they know. I mean, you've been dealing with this for 8 years.
It's all they know.
It's all they know.
It really is. And that's, you're going to make me cry. So I don't know if I want to talk about it because.
Whatever you feel comfortable with.
That is, damn it.
I'm sorry.
Damn it. You bring a woman's kids into it and she loses it.
I know. We've talked about this. This has been the hardest thing for you.
You saw me break down. It's so hard. It's like through so many of the trials, like I didn't think I was going to make it. Sorry. My body felt so weak and I didn't think that I was going to make it through those times. Like I didn't think my kids were going to have a mom after the first couple years, and they're so good, like God bless, because they have a lot of trauma. They have trauma from divorce, which any kid going through a divorce will. And then they have trauma from this, and it scares them. It's so funny. Like they respond in two totally different ways. My son is like control freak meltdown. Like, I got to be with you, mom. What's happening? Mm-hmm. He'll cry. And my daughter's like the bad bee. She's like, all right, it's good. Go on. I'm going to go play. You got this, mom. I'm like, she sucks it inside. And I know that's going to like, I pray that it brings her strength and not like, I hope I don't set her up to be that person who pushes people away because of fear. But yeah, kids are resilient, but it's hard. So the new, like, they've known me with cancer for most of their lives, but I was way more active early on and I was totally different. And I could do things. And, they have flashbacks of like the hospital bed in the house. And they'll question that sometimes. And they question death when certain people plant it in their heads that I might not be here. They question it. I don't talk about, me dying because I don't have control over that.
So I was gonna say, how much do you tell them? I mean, at what age did you finally like break it down to them?
Yeah. I don't think I have ever fully been like, I think because cancer treatment has come so far that I've never been like, hey, mommy's got 3 to 6 months to live. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, no doctor's ever really said it except for the one doctor in Winchester. I'm sorry. Let me know if I just have snot all over my face. No doctor has ever like given me a timeline. So I don't present that to them like that. I think what I do is say, mommy is sick. And I talk about what that looks like. And, thanks to Disney, every parent in a Disney movie dies of cancer. So that's been really fun. If you've ever noticed, if you ever watch any of these things. So my kids instantly are like, does that mean you're, they look right at me and give me that death stare of, is that you? And I have to explain to them, like, nobody's going to escape death. We are very strong in our faith. That is top reason, I think, why I've, again, made it this far. So I describe to them that none of us are excused from dying and like what that looks like. And I try to make them comfortable with what it is and what that means. And then I explain to them that, yes, I am sick. And there is a possibility, that the cancer could grow and something could happen. And they've opened up and they've talked about it. And, well, do I get to still see my Uncle Jeff if something happens to you? Do I still get to see him? And I'm like, yes. And a kid's brain just processes so different.
Mm-hmm.
And I think each kid is so different. Not every kid can handle the full truth. Not every kid can stomach that.
It's a lot. It's even, just telling me, I couldn't imagine being 10 years old and having to understand.
Yeah. Well, because it's not like I got into a car accident and I died and now he's having to go through grief and the death and like the suddenness. And sometimes I don't even know what's worse or what's better is somebody who you're almost anticipating their death. And every day you think about that happening or having it be a life that it's somebody suddenly dies, right? Like I always think about that. Like I don't, not either is good, but I'm like, as far as coping, I don't know. Cause this is every day my kids have to see. And there are weeks like this past week has been really hard for me. My mobility's been bad. My breathing's been bad, but like today I'm fine. Yeah. Like I'm not great, but I'm driving on my own. I'm doing my own thing. I'm fine. But they see that. So they see, this and this and this, and they've had to see me get taken out and go to the hospital. And
that's gotta be difficult.
Beyond difficult.
So let's talk about the awareness, part of the reason why we're even sitting here together, the reason why you want to get your story out there is early detection.
Yes. So I was right on the cusp of 31 when I got diagnosed, which if you always hear that colorectal cancer, rectal cancer, colon cancer is kind of an old person's cancer, right?
That's what we think of.
That's what we think of. We always hear breast cancer as being like a young women's cancer. And,
yep.
And these are just perceptions that we all have because of society and what we see. So what has happened over the years, and I wish I would have brought statistics and looked it up a little bit better prepared. But the age of colorectal diagnoses has gone down significantly over the past 10 years. We are seeing it, and maybe not like, it's not like everybody's 30 that gets diagnosed, but it used to be 70s were the average age, like 77. And now it's like 50.
Yeah, that's significantly.
Significantly. And then we're talking about the amount of people in their 30s, in their 20s getting diagnosed. Kind of a crazy story. I had a high school friend. We graduated at the same time. He found out that I had colorectal cancer, and he writes me and he's like, I have the exact same thing. Like,
wow.
I'm like, were we in the same like atomic bunker at the same time to like get this disease? But same age, graduated together, same exact cancer. 2 of us in our class to have colorectal cancer is kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
So, I have, of course, I think I'm a doctor every day. So I have all my theories about nutrition and, of course, being 80s babies. I ate all the things you put in a microwave or all the things that were processed. So I just want people to be aware. It's not necessarily that, maybe any of that calls that, but it is important to take a look at your diet. I mean, alcohol consumption, right? We're also like my generation, we love to drink. We love to party. I don't do it anymore because I can't, but I used to love it. I used to love to drink and party and go, kayaking and floating. But alcohol really it's the number one contributing factor to colorectal cancer.
Wow.
And so binge drinking, especially what that does to our bodies. I mean, you think about what your body does the next day after you binge drink.
Oh, yeah.
Think about what that looks like. It's not good. Also not respecting your bowels, like holding it, not going to the bathroom, not respecting the fact that we should all be going to the bathroom every day. Like learn more about what your bowels are supposed to do. It's one of those taboo things. Nobody likes to talk about pooping. Everyone thinks it's weird, but if you think, why is food so glamorous and pooping isn't? You're putting the food in.
Yeah.
It's got to come out. And so making sure that you're taking care of your body, looking at the warning signs. If there's anything concerning at all when you go to the bathroom, get it checked out. Most people have jobs that offer them the free physical, or they get paid $100 to go do a physical, right? To get checked out. I know colonoscopies are still something that they don't really offer until you're a certain age, but there's things you can do. If you're concerned, we can do Cologuard, you can do testing.
Listen to your body.
Listen to your body. People get hemorrhoids, and yes, you can bleed. What's the difference between a bright red blood on a paper towel versus blood that's darker wrapped around your stool? Like, notice that, because our guts tell us a lot, and we don't eat very well. We as just a whole society here in America, we eat crap.
Yeah, we do.
So just know that. Just know that you're not immune to it. No one's immune to any sickness, any autoimmune, any cancer. Yes, I have it, but anyone walking around out here could have it. So just look at your body, take an assessment, and make sure nothing's going crazy. Go see your doctor,
Get your yearly physical.
Get your yearly physical. Why not? Especially if they pay you $100. I used to love cashing in.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what was it, Aflac or whatever thing that I had? It was like, heck yeah. Do you, check me out and give me some money. It's for your own good. This goes for not just colorectal, but it obviously goes for go to the gynecologist.
Yeah.
Get the things checked. Go to the, for you guys. I think they do something with balls. I don't know all the things that they do, but
at least we can get a yearly physical.
It's something like that, right? Yeah. So just go get all the things checked out. Take care of you, because people need you. So
good.
Yeah.
Well, how did this kind of affect the finances for you? I'm sure some things were covered. You've gotten help, but what's that look like on your end?
So something I think a lot of people don't really think about is, first of all, you don't plan to have a terminal illness.
Of course not.
Most people aren't sitting around being like, I'm probably going to have cancer in 4 years. Let's go ahead and save for that. I don't think our country does a great job at also supporting us in that. So I was lucky enough to have a wonderful career through Valley Health. I worked for the behavioral health department, and I had a job that I was on track to continue to make, more money each year and grow with the company. And I love that. That was an amazing structure. And I was excited for my future. I ended up buying a home based on my income, not out of my range, not out of what I can afford, and then boom, like this cancer, all of that happened. I ended up having to go on short-term disability at first. And what happens is disability pays you, and maybe this is across the board, or maybe it was just my company, but I ended up getting 60% of my pay. So out of nowhere, all of a sudden, I'm only able to receive 60% of the income that I had 100% allotted for. And at this point in my life, no, I wasn't having a ton of savings, but I was comfortable.
Yeah.
Single mom, 2 kids.
New house.
Decent little house and a puppy. We don't live outside of our means. We're not bougie people. And
you're not expecting other bills, medical bills to be coming in.
Didn't think anything. Yeah, of course. So, you have your insurance. Your insurance your deductible is like $5,000, right? Well, that $5,000 was also not expected. That you spend instantly when you have cancer. It comes out within the first scan or two. So between all of the medical bills, the deductibles, and then, all of that, every month I was coming up short for that first couple years. I had amazing, and I still have the most amazing, incredible friends that have done, we had Save the Booty Bowl-a-thon, and that helped out, and they raised money and did a gun raffle. And I stick that in my savings, and that's what I supplemented with every month. People I think there are people out there. I've actually been told by people who aren't very kind people that it's kind of an assumption that like you get these donations and we're just out here, buying cashmere and Maseratis, like that we're doing something crazy with it. And the point is I just want my kids to feel like they're living a normal life.
Yeah.
I just want them to have decent clothes and shoes, backpacks. I want to make sure my bills are paid, and I want to make sure they're safe, and that they have food. And so what happens is you do put this in your savings, and you have that to fill in that 40% gap of what you should have already been making. So now we've gone so far that I've been on disability for so long that I'm still just trying to live a life, because, with mortgage rates and I can't refinance on disability the way I am. Like, I don't have that ability right now. And the refinancing would be, what is it? 7 point something?
They're up there.
Okay. So people could say, well, maybe you need to downsize. Maybe you need to do this. Maybe you need to move. Well, that is not a possibility, right? In this market for me I'm not going to find anything for what I have. So I'm living within my means, but what people don't see is that every single donation, I'm telling you, it goes into that savings account, and it is such a blessing to know when I go to sleep at night that I have something that when my car breaks down, I can take care of it. When my kids need to have, field trip money or yearbook money, I can take care of it. It makes me feel whole too as a mom that I'm providing for my kids.
Yeah.
And they know where it comes from. Like, my kids are so grateful. Like, we've been blessed. I had a great charity event last year. They did awesome in the same thing, but it runs out.
Yeah.
Because every month you're supplementing. And that gets hard. So, I just want people to know that, like, oh, and then something fun too. And I might say this and people are going to be like, what a ditz, but I'm going to put it out there. Okay. About money. My first year, I guess I didn't realize the rate of a credit card. I'd never had a credit card my whole life. Never had to, because I always just paid for things, right? Like, I made my money and paid for things. I never really did credit. Well, the hospitals like to bully you into thinking that if you don't pay this now, like some goblin's going to come kill you in your sleep. So I was getting all these hate letters the first year of like, pay now or we're taking your firstborn child. And so I would use my credit card, and I paid all of these bills off with my credit card. And then I had over $10,000 on my credit card, and the interest rate was insane. And I was not even making a single advancement. No matter what I was doing, I was only paying interest. Interest on that was almost $200.
I bet.
And so I did not learn that lesson. And I know it might sound stupid, but I'm telling you, the generations coming up, you can't convince me that there aren't some of me out there who don't know about that. But I got in a pickle, and that hurt me financially. So luckily, getting these donations helped me to pay down that credit card, so I wasn't stuck paying interest forever with money I don't have.
How do you handle it nowadays?
So now I look at each medical bill and say, you're going to get it when you're going to get it, and I will pay you. But I have them all lined up, and they're all on payment plans. And everything's designated as to what my income can allow. So I just paid off one medical bill, which means that will roll over into paying the other ones. So each one that I do pay down or I do pay off, now I allot that. So as long as it has a place, but I've learned that I don't need to give them every dime I have up front, because then you can't buy groceries.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's more important.
Then you can't put gas in your car, and things are getting cheaper. So I'm not making, it's like, in disability, I'm not getting, a raise. Big cost of living raise. So I've done a really good job now with which is something I wish, like, if I could heal and help other people, what I would do is sit down and help people navigate that system and encourage them to submit financial applications or look at your bills and see what you can do. And if you can only pay that $5 that month, it's okay.
Yeah.
Do that. Let's worry about the high interest. It's very confusing. And I think I'm a pretty witty, smart girl. And I still got caught up in the rat race of, the fear and the obligation of paying. So,
especially when you've been somebody who's always paid your bills on time forever, and you get to this part where you're overwhelmed, and it's not because it's anything you did wrong.
No,
it just happened to you.
And so it's like no one plans to have this, and that's it. It wasn't me making these horrible choices in my whole life, and I'm not shaming anybody for anything they've done, but like cancer happened to me. I didn't do anything, but now this is what I have to do in life. I don't have the luxury of being like. And the thing too, people look at you when you take a vacation, when you go do something, where you get the money. And it's like, you also, I want to say to every cancer patient, if anybody listens to this, you also have to live.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't live, you die. If you don't make sure to do something that brings you joy, that joy will disappear and you will disintegrate. Depression will creep in, and especially when you have kids, because all you want to see is like, the memory for them, And so I've had people who have blessed me, like when they've donated, they've written on the check, do not spend on bills, like go play, because they know how hard it is. And the guilt, they know the guilt that people feel that it should never go to anything but, you should never spend a single dime unless it's on bills. And it's like, but I also want to take my kids to the movies.
Well, yeah.
Like
you don't want them to feel completely left out of their childhood.
Yes.
I get it.
And we're blessed. I mean, my family is so amazing and we're well taken care of with them. And, luckily they have that support. A lot of people don't have that same support. So I am super blessed with that. But it's a lot to say about the finances. And I think, I never shy. If anybody ever has a question for me about anything, talk to me. Like I'm never afraid to talk about any portion of what I've gone through.
That I think is pretty clear.
Really?
We've definitely got on some good subjects today.
I don't know. I'm an open book. Yeah. I think I've been through more than most people go through in 100 years on this earth. I bet. So, use this knowledge for power.
Yeah.
So.
Awareness. Go get it checked out.
Yes.
So that kind of, I guess, talking about the financials and some of those events that you've had in the past kind of bring us to something kind of cool we got coming up here.
I know.
You want to tell us a little bit about what it is?
I do. So Realty One of Winchester, we call it Realty One of Old Town Winchester.
Realty One Group Old Town.
Realty One Group, all of you guys. Yep. They have been so gracious to host a fundraiser, and it is a womanless beauty contest, which I expect to see you dressed up. You.
Wait.
I'm looking at you. There's
Me?
nobody here. Yes. I have you trapped. I can lock this door. So
I have control of the video.
To have a signed commitment. Heard it here, folks. But it's a womanly beauty.
I will definitely 100% be there.
Well, that's okay. I'll take that, I guess. I would like to see you in a dress and heels, but
we'll see.
We'll get back to that.
Yeah, we'll get back.
We'll talk at a later date. So I think it's such a fun, like lighthearted fundraiser. I know some of the guys that are dressing up, and it's going to be hysterical. So it's a womanless beauty contest out at West Oaks, May 16th. A lot of some of the silent auction stuff that we've been donated. I'm like,
there was a lot of stuff built up. I saw.
I know. I don't even know if I should say, but like Kira told me some good stuff that she just got. I don't know if I should say it yet, but people are just out here. Like, I can't believe it. What people are willing to donate. Friends of mine that are donating things. My neighbor has pests now. He's donating a year's worth of pest services for a silent auction. Yeah. Heck yeah. You throw a ticket in there and you get a whole year of pest services.
Well, and I saw their lobby looked like the ABC store. So.
Oh my. Okay. So last night they put out, did you see that on Facebook last night?
No, what happened?
So they have a Yeti cooler filled with all the liquor.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
And it went nuts, which just means that this town is full of alcoholics. That's all I'm saying. Booze hounds.
It's the world we're living in.
You heard it here first. But I mean, it's like $1,900 worth of stuff, $10 for a chance at it. And, you have a pretty good chance of winning. It's enough to fill an entire bar.
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy. Or like just host your own downtown extravaganza. But so they have all worked really hard. Everyone has been really passionate. Everyone has got their own kind of roles and, what they're deciding to do. And it's been incredible. It's going to be really fun. I mean, I'm just excited for the energy.
Well, I've heard some of the numbers. It sounds like it's going to be a pretty good turnout so far.
Yeah.
I don't think it's something anyone's going to want to miss.
Yeah. No, it's going to be great. So May 16th, I believe it's at 6 o'clock or 6:30.
Yeah. Thursday, May 16th. Yep.
Yeah. So it's going to be at West Oaks.
We can put we can put the date and time on this as well. So
yeah, it'll be fun.
It will be fun.
Don't miss it.
Well, is there anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up today?
Oh, there's so much. No.
Should we do it to be continued?
To be continued. Let's get to the more personal side, the, true romance versions. No, I think we covered a lot about, awareness, and I really appreciate you letting me get my story out there. I know it was I feel like sometimes when I tell this story, it's a little bit, like I just kind of have it down to a timeline.
Yeah.
But so much life happened in between all of that. And, I don't know. So hopefully one day I get to tell more about the ins and outs and the nuances and just kind of what I went through. And I pray that one day I do get a chance to connect with more people going through stuff.
Yeah.
That maybe I can help navigate. It's a really hard time. So.
Well, I appreciate everything. I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
I hope the event is awesome. I will be there to witness it.
Thank you.
We'll see whether you see me on stage or not. I don't know. You'll have to come out and
I'm going to be a judge, I think. I've asked. I mean,
I would expect.
I'm hoping. So, yeah.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you guys all for watching, and we'll see you next time.